Tonight, we vent about the UCLA game. But hey, Cougar Soccer is now 7-1 after a 2-game sweep in Hawaii, and the WSU Volleyball team extended their winning streak to 10 matches. This is Cougar Sports Desk for September 25th, 2019.
Unranked Cougar Nation. Not quite the same ring to it anymore, now is it?
No, it's not.
Well, welcome to Cougar Sports Desk. I'm upset.
And I'm disappointed. Well, a fun atmosphere on the Palouse last weekend led by former Pullman and now Jacksonville Colt leader Gardner Minshew. He fielded autographs for fans, raised the Coug flag, and then watched his single-game touchdown record get shattered by Anthony Gordon. The only problem, 9 touchdowns wasn't enough. The Cougs would fall to the UCLA Bruins in the final minutes by a score of 67-63. This means the construction of an extended sandpit for Mike Leach to make his players roll around in this weekend is already finished.
Yes, and while we all thought the days of Couging it were over and that Utah would be the first time Washington State was actually tested, fans received a rude awakening that being a WSU fan is supposed to be painful, and the idea of college football making us happy is absurd. If you thought the new and improved WSU football program was above blowing a 32-point lead, then well, as the saying goes, we always find our way back home.
Want some better news? Well, we don't have much for you. The Cougs fall out of the AP Top 25 pool, ending their 14-week streak. Now they play the Utah Utes on a channel no one has in Salt Lake City. Who wants to watch a 7 p.m. kickoff on Fox Sports 1 in one of the most energizing cities in the world, Salt Lake City, Utah? All I know is that Larry Scott already gave away the UCLA game from the Cougs, and now we'll make sure the Cougs can't get any more exposure on the East Coast.
Now, with only one undefeated team remaining in the Pac-12, hopes for representation in the national playoff rest in Cal. So it's unlikely. WSU still has opportunities to see a great bowl game, but an undefeated season, as unlikely as it was, is now dead. Now, please join us in a brief moment of silence for our shattered hopes and dreams.
This just in. Just because a player is taken as the 199th pick in the draft and is starting in Week 3 does not mean that he is the next Tom Brady. Former Coug Luke Falk learned that lesson the hard way as he threw for 98 yards, 1 interception, and only completed 12 passes. The worst part of this is that Luke Falk's idol, Tom Brady, was across the sideline, and all the storylines highlighted out all the similarities. But no one pointed out the difference that Luke Falk does not have any children and cannot kiss them on the lips for good luck.
The state's newspaper, located in South Carolina's capital, ran a headline that read, "Helinski's hope sinks," after the Gamecocks lost to Missouri on Saturday. The headline was widely criticized by, just about anybody with a brain or knowledge of what the Helinski's Hope Foundation stands for. The people brought together and the lives changed by the Helinski's Hope Foundation were completely disregarded in the name of garbage journalism and a tacky headline. The state's newspaper issued an apology and a follow-up on how their content is generated. The University of South Carolina's administration, rightfully so, denied the apology, saying it was not enough. We hope the damage done by the state's newspaper does not go unrecognized, and we want everybody to know that mental health is one of the biggest problems affecting people today, and continuing to talk about it and taking it seriously is one of the best ways we can fix this problem, despite how poor the taste of the editors of the state's newspaper may be. That's all the headlines we have from this week. Now let's get into some recaps.
Welcome to the replay booth. I'm Asher Lind.
And I'm Mackenzie Dayton.
WSU Volleyball went down to Texas this past weekend and picked up 3 dubs for the second straight tournament. In their last match against Texas Southern, they won in straight sets. The first and third sets both were 25-9. The only negative I can take away from the game is Texas Southern's hitting percentage. That's right, they hit negative .011 for the match.
WSU women's soccer defeated Pepperdine Sunday in Honolulu to close out the Rainbow Wahine tournament. This makes their record 7-1. Fun fact, Pepperdine is where coach legend Mike Leach received his law degree. Could you imagine Leach as a lawyer?
Cougar football experienced a hard-hitting funeral this weekend after a high-scoring game turned into a loss for the Cougs. Anthony Gordon set WSU and Pac-12 passing records with 9 passing touchdowns in a single game. That beat Gardner Minshew's record of 7 passing touchdowns. And Winston Jr. is now tied with Gabe Marks with 4 touchdown catches in a game. Winston was Wazoo's leading receiver with 114 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Despite all this, WSU proved you can't win with 6 turnovers while giving up 2 touchdowns on special teams. The Cougs gave up a 100-yard kick return to Demetric Felton in the third, and UCLA capitalized on the momentum shift. The Bruins ended up scoring on 6 consecutive drives to annihilate WSU's blowout lead. Kyle Phillips' 69-yard punt return would put the Bruins ahead with under 8 minutes in the fourth.
The Cougs would answer back next possession after Max Borghi took a wheel route 65 yards to the house. The defense would step up on 4th down with a stop, and the game seemed over.
Yeah, think again. As WSU tried to run the clock out, Winston would fumble, giving UCLA another chance, which they converted, taking the lead and taking the air out of Martin Stadium. Gordon, with a last chance drive, would fumble, ending a heartbreaking game and giving the Bruins the 3rd largest comeback victory in FBS history.
Now we'll go back to the desk for more on the Cougs' upcoming match against Utah.
Well, thanks, guys. It's Utah game week, which means all gas, no breaks for the Cougs after a terrible loss to UCLA.
Well, Utah has erupted into somewhat of a powerhouse in recent years, and while WSU has had their number in the past few seasons, they are always a tough matchup, especially for a road game. Last week, Mike Leach broke down a Pac-12 mascot battle royale type scenario, and to quote Leach, the Utes have no chance if they have no weapons.
The only 2 weapons Utah has on offense is Tyler Huntley and Zach Moss, but the Cougs have shown in the past they can slow down Huntley. They'll just have to play like they did in the first half of the UCLA game, and not the second half.
And in the UCLA postgame, Mike Leach said it best. WSU can outmatch anybody's offense as long as they play the way they did in the first half. But the reason for Utah's success has been their defense. It's one of the best in the Pac-12. Now, with the Cougar offense still being one of the best in the nation, it really will be a battle between the unstoppable force and the immovable object.
So who you got this week, Brady?
Well, my prediction last week didn't go so well, so I'm going to be a little bit more conservative. I'm not going to give you a score. All I'm saying, Max Borghi said this is the opportunity for WSU to see redemption. Utah is a great program, but I'm not counting the Cougs out. I'm still optimistic. I'm saying close game, and if the Cougs can do everything right and execute, they'll come out on top. What do you think?
I think if they can figure out how to tackle. I mean, there was a lot of mistakes last week, special teams and defense, and Utah likes to run the ball. So they can't figure out how to tackle. I think it's a toss-up.
I think that is a big point that it's all going to come down to this weekend. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight's show. If the Utah game is anything like the UCLA game in the second half, then I'm sure all of you Coug fans will need to watch next week's Cougar Sports Desk so we can tell you what happened. Or, maybe you won't want to.
Well, we're going to hope for the best and buy enough brunettes for the worst. Either way, that's all for tonight's show. For Brady Frederick and everyone here in Studio A, I'm Henry Lenhart. We'll see you next time, and as always,
Go Cougs!